turns are back on. The go-ahead has been given to continue this pursuit, which is now back on. The pursuit is back on, now on Avenue 54. The suspect thought he got away for a minute there. It looked like they had let this guy go, and then out of nowhere, at the red light, you saw 2 or 3 units come up from behind him. Lights and sirens came back on, trying to light him up. The driver refusing still to pull over, still driving recklessly. That was the original want, and that erratic driving is continuing, although a bit slower now. He was speeding away from these officers earlier. Now it looks like he's just doing about 35, 40 miles per hour. We're just on the cusp of the threshold for a potential pit maneuver if that supervisor gives the go-ahead. But there is clearly some hand gesturing going on. It looked like both of his arms were coming out of that driver's side window right then, and it looks like he is either trying to communicate or toy with these officers. Still on Avenue 54, making another turn here. Again, it'll be very interesting to see if he is sure enough familiar with this turn or if these are just random maneuvers. I certainly have the feeling, though, that this is familiar territory for him. Now on Baltimore Street. Slowing down considerably here. Thank you. Is it on scan or, oh, yeah. Thank you. Both of them. Copy. And that's going to be York Boulevard right there, making a northbound turn onto York. Am I correct about that? That's northbound, right? He's heading north? No. Yeah. Yeah, north or north, yeah. So westbound York Boulevard. He now has 2 helicopters up above him. CHP is now on scene. LAPD still right over him. And those black and whites still code 3 behind him. As he picks up some speed here, continuing now northbound on York Boulevard. He's going to do a basically a whole loop around this neighborhood. Another left turn. This is going to put him on Avenue 51. And here comes the pit. Here comes the pit. A pit certified unit coming up right behind the driver's left rear, almost executing that pit, but stopped just short there. And now the driver's continuing on. It looked like something came flying out that window, and some sparks there. It looks like he just took that bump a little bit too fast, that hump in the road, and he is continuing now on Lincoln Avenue, just weaving his way through this neighborhood. The turns are looking a little more random now, but LAPD just looking for a sweet spot where they could pull up right behind him and safely execute that pit maneuver. You notice there's a lot of parked cars on this residential block. He's traversing this neighborhood, which is mostly residential, and that may be what stopped that officer from going ahead with the pit. You don't want to unnecessarily damage anybody else's property or vehicle, and certainly a pit maneuver may have very well have resulted in a collision with a parked car there. So they are temporarily backing off once again. LAPD slowing up, following, but not pursuing. The command has been given to back off for the time being. Once again, this is now the second or third time we've seen this in this pursuit. And interestingly enough, it certainly looks like he has slowed up once again, which is the primary reason for putting these in tracking mode. You want to take some of that pressure off, bring down the adrenaline, and hopefully that would make it a much safer situation for everybody else involved here, but they're going to continue to follow. You're going to see the officers make that right turn with him, but giving him some more breathing room. That's going to put him on El Paso Drive. Very narrow streets here. And kind of drifting away from Highland Park, further into the Mount Washington area. You could tell by those narrow streets, he's on a little bit of an incline here. That might be, is that another, yeah, you kind of get the feeling one of these are going to be a dead end for sure. But it looks like those officers are backing off completely now. Are they still trailing him? Okay. We'll keep an eye on those guys. So several units still trailing the suspect. It appears to be a situation where they might go ahead and back off completely, but for the time being, they're trailing from a distance through this residential neighborhood in Mount Washington. Jessica Drive, a narrow residential street. Not ideal for a pit maneuver, but lots of auxiliary streets for him to kind of weave his way through here, and lots of hiding spots too if he does decide to ditch the vehicle, he or she. Again, not clear on what other crimes may have been committed here or what the other motivations may be or what his intentions are, where he actually intends on ending this, but it does appear that there is some degree of familiarity with this general area. Doing right about the speed limit, 30 to 35 miles per hour. Stopping for the stop sign there. How far back is that unit? There he goes, okay. So not backing off completely. Not yet, anyways. Once again, if you're just joining us on ABC7.com and our ABC7 streaming apps, Chris Christie up in Air 7 HD continuing to follow this, what was a high-speed pursuit, now turning into a slow-speed following through the northeast section of Los Angeles. Again, this is about where this pursuit started, about 45 minutes ago at least, and ended up on the 101 freeway. LAPD following the suspect, chasing him up the 101 freeway through Hollywood, up into the San Fernando Valley, turning around near Universal City, and then getting back on the southbound side of the 101 freeway before ending right back where he started, here in the northeast area, this time in Mount Washington, as he kind of meanders through these residential neighborhoods up here. LAPD has taken this back from CHP and are now following the suspect in this red Chevy Sonic. At least the driver, obviously, in the car, but it also appears there might be a passenger on board as well. The original charge was reckless driving. We understand that this vehicle is has Washington State plates. But for whatever reason, he has decided to get off of the freeway right in the same general area where LAPD picked this up a short time ago. And now they have backed off almost completely, but still following from a distance. That primary unit right behind him there, a secondary unit, a supervisor in the back there. Cool. Thank you. All right, so that's going to be San Fernando Road if he turns here. Are all of those central, Rob? Can you see? Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So LAPD Central Division behind the suspect. Clearly well aware of those units right behind him, but still, this is one of the few times he's actually stopped for red lights. Early on in this pursuit, he was blowing through red lights. Now, observing the red light, well aware of those LAPD units behind him. A lot of movement coming from that driver's seat, reaching across there, picking up something on the dashboard. Again, earlier in this pursuit, on several occasions, we've seen him gesturing out the driver's side window with, at times, both arms waving at officers, and appeared to be, at one point, even be waving a piece of cloth or a t-shirt or something. That's going to be Division Street at San Fernando Road, and it looks like he's planning on making a left turn, which would put him southbound on San Fernando Road. Big question right here is going to be whether those units behind him continue. There seems to be a desire to let this go temporarily, or perhaps one final time. It looks like the driver may have taken off his shirt there. Hard to see through that windshield, but it does look like he is now shirtless in the driver's seat. Further back. Yep, got it. Got to be one of the longer lights I've seen. And here, look at this. Here is LAPD making the U-turn, and essentially, as I suspected, preparing to abandon this pursuit altogether. Yep, looks like it. Was that South LA? Yep. All right. All right. LAPD abandoning this pursuit, and now we have word of a second pursuit. So a second pursuit now in progress in South LA. Going to try and get some more information on this one, and we will be back with you in just a couple of minutes as we make our way down the 110 freeway. We're going to be heading towards a second pursuit in LAPD's, did she say what, 77th Division? All right, we'll be right back with you.